Hey ZZZ Proxies, it's your boy Josh. I just got done with part 1 of my Zenless Zone 0 marathon, stopping to celebrate Christmas. But I know a ton of us can't rest until we've defeated the insanely restrictive Deadly Assault game mode that's popped up in ZZZ. In the future, I'll be making guides on the day of the release of the new Deadly Assault refreshes. But let's go into a full analysis and showcase of some options you could be taking into the game mode. Because with 3 different teams required, the average player was not meant to clear this game mode. But let's head right into it and explain why. Oh, but before we do, did I mention that I am streaming on YouTube and Twitch? Swing on by, because with every day you'll be able to grab a free raffle ticket for Miyabi giveaway we're doing once we hit the top 100 ZZ streamers. Right now we're currently at 80th place, and as your go-to guides maker and ZZ creator, I'd love to share more fun moments with all of y'all. So let's first break down the 3 sides of Deadly Assault. We have Sacrificial Bringer at the top, into Pompei, and lastly into Twin Marionettes. These 3 are arguably the most difficult bosses in the entire game, not only from just a mechanic standpoint, but from their ability to interrupt you during combat. Going from left to right, Bringer can bring out one of his hands to turtle. Without breaking this hand, you lose out on time and are subject to a barrage of attacks. Pompei's lasers will fly around all over the place, and he can also perform a spinning 1080 attack that'll stop you in your tracks. And lastly, the Twins. These 2 are notorious for their double dash attacks and can eat away at the little time you have in the stage. So amongst the regular rotation of bosses, factoring their new attack patterns alongside their time-consuming attacks, how should we proceed? Let's go through each boss, the stages of each fight, and the team options for you. The first stage, Bringer, is ripe for one Miyabi. 99% of players who pulled for the Fox Siren will be utilizing her there. Because of the fact that you can gain crit rate as a buff for hitting anomalies, alongside the astronomical damage you can do, my very first try, with little to no instruction, alongside some underbuilt supports in Lighter and Lucy, I grabbed a modest 25k. During a test run of my viewer's account, I was able to achieve over 60k. Miyabi's focus is to keep Bringer on the field and staggered for as long as possible. That's how most of the damage is going to be laid upon, so making sure that you can maintain pressure while also managing her 6 blue balls is going to be key. Here are the teams that have seen clears in DA. The most lethal on paper is a team made up of Miyabi, Rina, and Yanagi. This is a premier team and on all counts requires the signatures from each with the inclusion of M1 Rina. A more realistic team that I prefer is one that of Lighter and Lucy. Although Lighter could show up in other floors, I elected to use him here for my run. You can also run Miyabi, Yanagi, Lucy. Even though you won't get the crit bonus from the extra passives, the attack buff is already that strong. Then let's head into the fight. You'll first start out hacking and slashing away, maintaining full stacks of Miyabi as consistently as you can. While performing the hold attacks, allow Miyabi to start flowing into the 3rd level of Enhanced Stance, and as you do so, cancel with Yanagi or Rina to stack up anomalies for disorder. The damage from Yanagi during this portion isn't as important as the disorder itself, leading to 2 stacks for Miyabi to flow into her next rotation. If you can, there will be rotations with her ult that you'll be able to run back-to-back charge attacks. Maintain her on the field instead of switching every time for a disorder, as those seconds off of your main DPS can lead to drastic losses in total score. Now, as we shift from first phase to second, we'll now have to destroy Bringer's arm. I suggest using either the first or second form of your enhanced basic attack to do just enough damage, and using Yanagi to disorder will allow you to break more effectively, saving yourself half of the build-up time back into your full Miyabi rotation. From there, it's all about wailing into Bringer. You should perform up to 2 handbrakes for an average of 4,000 performance points, each time granting you 2,000 points. Then the rest is up to you and your damage score and how much you can dish out on our late PubSec officer. Moving along to Mr. Pompei, and Pompei's attacks are not as deadly in the sense of damage, but time. As you move from Bringer to him to the Twins, you'll notice more considerable time waiting to deal damage. Pompei's attacks rotations vary from his bike stomp, bike swipe, bike swing, and lasers from his regular rotation. Then when going berserk, it's important to find opportunities to utilize ult during that time period to maintain damage pressure. For Pompei, you get extra performance points for hitting anomalies, so bringing characters that can pile on extra anomalies or even supports that can add to that will be the highlighted choices here. The boss isn't itself as difficult, so let's move straight into the teams. First, we have classic Jane Bernice Flex. With Seth as our support here, his ability to grant AP buffs will drastically help out your team here, especially with Bernice piling on after burns. Other team options range around Jane, including Lucy, Piper, Soldier 11s, and even a potential Caesar King. We have had practice against this boss for a while, and nothing much has changed with the exception of time being against us. Lastly, we are going to spend a considerable time on this section, one that a majority of us struggle with. Yikes! That's not 20k. How is that a minute though? Man. And that is the Ballet Twins. These two, or I should say one that fuses into two, is a slightly different breed of devious. The attack rotations have shifted slightly and have you fighting one, yet when performing coordinated attacks, a second will pop up from the shadows and dish out 2 attacks at once. Your goal is to break the second marionette during the average 2 to 3 second window they start attacking. From here, they'll also perform their classic 3-step twirl attack and the infamous time-eating slashing attacks. These will run you a lot of time, and there is no way around getting at least one of each during your 3 minutes in the stage. So the best bet is to utilize the window in which they are not performing these to get stuns and target the second twin for extra stage points. There are a few variations of coordinated attacks, and the second marionette will be indicated by a separate smaller bar. Always aim for this first while being opportunistic to deal AoE damage to both. Once you've broken the second twin, immediately go back into dishing out damage and potential stuns, as getting into stun windows will delay the 2 different invulnerable attack formations. Teams that are effective here utilize some form of targeting or AoE. Haramasa, the free unit, provides effective here because you can set up quivers into Electro Prison, yet also target the marionette that you'd like to hit. It's actually quite effective, yet the score won't be as high, it'll get the job done. The other classic premier teams you can use are Ellen Jo, Lighter, Lycon, a great trio that can rack up stuns super quick and provide Ellen with ice debuffs and ice bonus damage so that she can absolutely demolish the competition. Jshoea also proves strong here, with her and Qingyi able to grab easy stuns against the marionette. Even though this side has more options, that doesn't mean your performance will be pretty. A majority of players that are either low budget F2P will find themselves struggling with the stage mightily. Getting over 20k is honestly quite difficult, and I find myself only doing so with characters that have 100% investment into them, which at this point, folks barely have 3 teams, let alone 2 for things like Shu defense. This is a PSA for us to not clear 9 stars, and should realistically just aim for 6 to get the polychromes. Use those to grab more units down the line like an Jshoea or an Evelyn that could help diversify your team pool, and in 3 to 6 months down the line, most of us should have units capable of tackling this dreaded game mode. So please do not get discouraged. This is a gacha game that promotes spending and getting a lot of resources. This game mode was not created for the casuals in mind, so I hope that brings it into perspective for all of you. But that doesn't mean you can't clear it with the F2P options above. It'll just take a very strict and meticulous effort to do so. And with that, we hope that we've distilled down the best practices and approaches to the first round of Deadly Assault for you. Let me know in the comments what you think of DA. And when I reach top 100 ZZ streamers by the beginning of January, we'll give away the prize money to you, the community. So continue to support the channel and the content. My name is Josh, and we'll see you on Twitch or here in this next video because YouTube thinks you like it. Ciao.